Hello everyone, this is Ether Dragon, and welcome back to another episode of Fire Emblem Heroes. So this week we are recording our replays a bit earlier because, well, as we'll see in a bit, arena, but also it's just super hot around here, triple digit temperatures, and it's still getting hotter, so I would rather record when it's somewhat cool, in giant quotes, compared to later, well, where it'll be probably like over 110 or whatever. So let's get straight into the replays here. Not too many replays this week, but I guess that's what it's like to not be in Vaults. If you don't get rematched a lot, that probably tends to be the result. But here, we have a pretty straightforward team here. Looks like lots of end churn. Brave Veronica on offense, definitely from my personal usage of her, I found her to be pretty solid on offense. Never has enough kill power, never enough attack and speed, but also doesn't have a lot of bulk. But so they decide to use Altina's harmonized skill here to get advantage. Not sure if it was intentional, but they did decide to leave Milla adjacent to her. I guess they are running attack defense bond, so it makes sense. But the panic, of course, of attack res unity does give her quite a bit more attack. But unfortunately here, Altina just cannot kill Crom, who can reach thanks to Pathfinder. And so he's just going to absolutely obliterate Altina. And now Crom can follow up. Barely one-shot their legendary leaf, but even if he wasn't one-shotting, he would have survived the counter. So that's still okay. Bramon gets to jump in with Wings of Mercy, proc Luna, and juicy one-shot there, because Veronica doesn't have that low of a res stat. And well, Seliph here, you know, he gets a double with Divine Tearfing, but Milla has Bracing Stance 3, so that's no Ignis for Seliph. But they're just generally already in a bad spot. So here they can pick up the kill Bonfire on Bramamon, but they just do not have enough forces to take out the remaining units here. And well, yeah, there's not much they can do at this point. So, Ripperonis. Honestly, my Dark Defense is getting to the point where it's reasonable enough. It's still a meme, but it's reasonable enough to where you do have to think about it a little more than you used to. Honestly, Nott has been pretty useful, unironically, just for the plus 5 HP in defense. There are some funny things I have set up with this team to do with Pathfinder, but it's nothing mind-blowing. Like, if you know how the AI works, it's not hard to see what's incoming, but not getting a rigged kill there, haha, on Dagger. I know it's supposed to be like Dagger, but I just say Dagger because why not? And Ripperonis. And here we go with classic double armor shenanigans with an Ocean, don't know how to pronounce his name. And +1s, +5, pretty solid. Of course, at this point we're just kind of hoping when the, like, Seiri, Ocean, any unit with a 50% HP threshold condition for distant counter, if they eventually get the refines, hopefully it's just distant counter at least, because the HP threshold can be quite annoying. But of course, in classic Seliph fashion, he's not going to do a lot of damage, and of course there's also sabotage attack and whatnot, so it's not a great time. And Nott never really does anything. So we just run Luna so we can do a good chunk of damage, and we do so here, but of course Nott's not going to do a lot of damage. Crom here is going to proc Deadeye, but he just doesn't have enough attack. Even with max Blade Session up, he wouldn't have picked up the kill. And Hector's unable to kill Ether, and that means Bramamon can go to town and take out Brave Hector with Luna. But the main problem, honestly, is that Bramamon's just too slow to naturally double. Gotta figure out how to work on that. Also, the thing is, Void Tome generally doesn't give Bramamon the guaranteed follow-up attack against Brave Hector, because a lot of Brave Hectors don't have enough speed. And the penalty thing is moderately suspicious. But they decide to set up here, take out Bramamon with Brave Edelgard, presumably to help charge her special. Not entirely sure, but she's able to pick up the one-round KO, even without Ignis, but it's definitely nice to have Ignis to do a lot of damage. And they just decide to hit end turn here, and I don't know if they calced this out. They did props to them, but it's kind of the thing where if only we had a +10 double +10 Bramamon capo, because he survives at 4 HP. So unfortunate for us, but that's about as good as it's going to get here, because of course Nils is not going to be murdering anyone anytime soon. But at least he gets to survive one hit. And GG.
Plenty more where that came from.
And well, continuing the end turn train of this team, I'm not entirely sure if people just do not have any other teams other than end turn, because of course the thing with end turn teams is if you use them correctly, generally you can actually win a good chunk of your matches. So maybe it's just what they default to, but against infantry pulls, if you're trying to tank, that doesn't seem like the greatest idea in the world. But here they use Open the Future to take out Bramamon, but there's one problem. Can you spot the problem before it occurs? If you haven't figured it out already, it's might be turn 2, and there's a unit named Nils with 73 HP thanks to Nott. Cough cough, would have been 1 HP. He would have been at 68 HP without 68 HP without Nott there. So even Pulse Tie goes off and screws over their dual Alphons. Of course, the solution to that is literally just wait. There wasn't a rush for them to actually go in immediately. They don't have like Bolt Tower or anything to work with. So they could have just set up and waited, but of course probably didn't read even Pulse Tie there. Because otherwise, probably would have survived Crom. I think that was a guaranteed survive. Would have guaranteed to live against Crom. I don't know if the outcome would have been maybe slightly different. I don't know if it would have been better for... This is probably just better for them in that case. But yeah, Ripperonis. Like, I have even Pulse Tie on Nils just because it's budget, but it's actually not terrible when it works on occasion, because people don't read skills a lot. Should probably go back to goofballing with the don't read skills challenge. It's actually ridiculously hard to do that with, well, our Garbo offense team, because we really need to know some skills that are on enemies. Like, we need to know if there's, for example, a lull on a cav or pass or something. There's a pretty huge difference, or lunge. It's a pretty huge difference in in our choices, but they are our options depending on enemy skills. But here they decide to hit end turn with Brave Hector. Crom, well, Bramamon gets to end turn, so Blade Session was almost at max, but not quite. because of that, Brave Hector's able to survive Chrom. But again, we run Luna on Nott precisely because she doesn't do a lot of damage when things aren't going her way, so it's just nice to be able to cut into enemies' defense like that. Because taking zeros from enemy Lunas is pretty difficult, not gonna lie. And well, that's a ripperoni. Of course, hitting end turn with Fallen Leon would be suspicious because of Seliph. Of course, that's why people tend to run Fallen Leon with near save Brave Hector, but then there's issues with, of course, Fallen Leon actually surviving. This is not a TA set, so with only 34 defense on this particular one, Chrom could definitely chunk quite a bit of damage, so still moderately suspicious. And we have this team here, the new duo Hilda. She can be super solid when you get to actually use her duo skill and ether raids. Of course, you still have to be smart about how you use it, but for example, both my dancers are within the same 3 columns. They could alternatively use Milla to like isolate Sylvia and isolate these 3 columns so Chrom can't use to change fate or something. There's plenty of options available, and see what they do here. I haven't watched this replay yet. And there's so many things wrong about this defense, but it's passable for now. I imagine the thing is, of course, it's water season, so Chrom really boosts the power of this defense, because it discourages people from, say, use Fallen Edelgard against this defense, although they can just walk in and take out Chrom if they want to. Because it would just be take out Bramon, then you can just take out Chrom. Assuming, of course, that Fallen Edelgard has the kill power for that, which is very feasible, especially with a special. But here, speaking of specials, Deadeye just going to obliterate bonus Milla, and they have isolated both of our dancers here with Duo Hilda, but things are still moderately awkward. Chrom unable to one-shot Kaya. Of course, she has her damage reduction against ranged units on the first hit, so that definitely helps her out here. But the problem is Nott is, well, kind of a large problem here. But again, the dancers are isolated again. I don't know about Duo Hilda. I feel like as a support unit, she's pretty solid, even if you don't get to use her dual skill. I just wonder if it's enough, is kind of the thing. Because people tend to like compare her to, say, Brave Lucina or whatnot, but the thing about Brave Lucina is that the unit getting supported also gets special charges on how do I say this so it makes sense? It's like Steady Breath and whatnot, where you get charges when the enemy attacks you and when you attack. So there can be a pretty large difference in that respect. For example, a 4 cooldown special, if you don't get doubled by the enemy, you can't proc that 4 cooldown special using Dual Hilda unless you're getting doubled and you double back, but at that point it's kind of like moderately suspicious there. But even like as a combat unit, of course, because healers are getting even more offensive nowadays, she can definitely be quite scary, although having attack speed solo is definitely interesting. Gives her a better enemy phase as long as she's solo compared to, say, young La Rochelle. But being solo is not always a guarantee, and especially in ether raids. That can be a problem when you For example, you might have to hide from enemy units, so your units are clustered together. Things can really make solos difficult to use. Yeah, at this point we're just kind of just talking about whatever, because just getting roasted in the heat here. Don't mind if I do. Plus 10 Fey here, pretty solid HP stat. Still can't quite dodge Sudden Panic from Sylvia though. And they just activate the Bolt Trap, and they basically have no way to heal, so awkward. Moderately awkward. I mean, they technically have some ways to heal Trademark, but at 21 HP, you're not going to be tanking very much, unless you have some ridiculous bulk. And for Dimitri in this case, even though he has more defense than Crom, he's up against Deadeye, so no damage reduction for him. And Crom can just obliterate Peony here.
Time to sleep.
Only 124 damage, 0 out of 10 Kappa. Not really doing very much, like usual. And of course, the end turn Bremon in the 7th slot also doing nothing. He tends to just sit around and hit end turn a lot, which is kind of one thing that's wrong about this defense. He just lags behind, and well, Crom gets to double Fey, so it's just an absolute massacre with Deadeye. And that's basically why I run Times Pulse on him, and the chance he doubles, it's useful. But our units are just going to derp around now. Crom's not quite in Rings of Mercy range. He's 1 point shy. Otherwise, of course, one of their units was going to get taken out. So yeah, not really much to do there. And here we have more end turn, because if you can't end turn enough, just if end turn doesn't work, just end turn. Warhead. Plus 10 mil, I definitely want to do that sometime myself, but at this rate it's going to take forever because just of how many mythics and legendary heroes there are, and the rotation being so slow, and trying to get a decent shared focus is just takes a long time. Is getting 5 copies of Milla. It's not something where it's just, oh, I can afford to just wait till the next time Mill is focused to summon, because it's still 5 copies. You could end out like somehow plus 10ing one of the other colorless focus units instead, and if it's a colorless focus unit you really don't want, yeah, not a great idea. But Robin able to take out Crom. Deadeye did put in a good chunk of work there, but Robin just able to continue healing thanks to her breath. And there's also Flame for damage reduction, so she's able to survive all these attacks. But unfortunately, she's out of luck because Bramon's here with Luna, and she wasn't able to heal from the last engagement, so that's a ripperoni. And at this point everything just collapses because what are they gonna do at this point? Bramon teleporting with Wings of Mercy to take out Milla even, so they really don't have much to do here at this point. And that's just a ripperoni. And the last replay for now, kind of surprised we only have 8 replays so far this week. But I guess it makes sense if you just get 1 a day, which we didn't. But if you get 1 a day, you don't get too many replays. Well, they're just getting set up here. Got Dusel and company. Blue's pretty good color against this defense. Seliph never... You can honestly get away with green units because Seliph is not much of a threat as long as you can either prevent Ignis from proccing or you just face tank the Ignis, because that's totally reasonable. It's not like Ignis does a massive amount of damage, but you know, it is potentially 52 defense, so that can be a pretty juicy Ignis. With 41 points of damage. But you know, if he's doing 0 times 2 initially, 41 points of damage probably isn't one-shotting anyways. So they decide to use their Hector to hit end turn here. This is one thing you totally can do against this defense. Just park and chill. Bait out this Bramamon. Intentionally designed this way. Because we got a meme. And so the only issue with this kind of setup is of the memes that can happen. Here Chrom uses, well, to change fate and happens to get the exactly enough power to take out Brave Hector. Well, it wasn't exact, but it was close enough to exact. And at this point, it's basically Dusel against the world. And Dusel being Dusel is just going to easily face tank Seliph here. Not surprising, of course. And with Bonfire, he gets a juicy 35 points of damage. But now he's up against Nott, but Nott doesn't have a lot of attack here. So of course, that's why we run Luna, so we can chip that damage in. And again, Bonfire's able to go off. And even through all that damage reduction, he picks up the 1-round KO. Not bonus, Nott's enough to save her. I decide to just hit end turn again. So you can just bait out Nils here. Of course, Dusel's going to easily take care of him. Dusel's definitely a pretty solid unit. I'm kind of surprised, honestly, that more people... A lot of people, I feel like, are sleeping on Zeke because he's basically Dusel if you sacrifice the -6 attack and defense on the enemy for distant counter. It's definitely quite a big trade-off, but if you're going for a distant counter set on, say, Dusel, I'd say Zeke's probably the better option for that. But yeah, unfortunately, Dusel could not take that many hits. Luna's just solid against tankier units so you can actually do some damage, and well, because of that, we're able to sweep there. And because of that match, we ended the season here without losing any lift on defense. I forgot to mention on offense, we did alright. We saw some of the matches we had. Last match of the season, I just decided to tactically sack a unit for the fun of it. Just because it doesn't really matter. Either way, all our rewards are going to be the same regardless if we went for a perfect sweep against that last defense or not. So I just figured, let's just give them a kill just to be nice. And with that, let's see, Resonant Battles. Of course, we're easily going back up to interval 20, but the big thing, one of the reasons why we're recording early here is Arena, because it's moderately dicey. We've been steadily losing ranks every hour, and it seems like we're probably gonna have to do another run. We can easily do another run. It's just that I didn't feel like fishing for 760s, because I didn't feel like we would need to go all 760s. I don't think it's necessary. Pretty sure 3,858 is guaranteed to stay, but I'm getting that feeling people are re-rolling their runs because they're seeing that 3,856 is moderately suspicious, to say the least. So we're probably gonna have to do that ourselves. The main difficulty will just be rolling the 760s. Most of the matches, as long as the map's not terrible, are generally pretty straightforward for this team. And Arena Assault, not the greatest scoring run for our strongest season, but aka water season, but still top 1k regardless, so not particularly concerned. What's top 50 looking like right now? It's probably around, yeah, now even over 5,360. Seems pretty typical. Yep, and well, with that, we'll be back if there's any more replays. But otherwise, we'll be back when the results drop in. Well, hopefully at this point, stuff should be out by now. I'd be moderately concerned if it wasn't out, but yep, top 12k. Tier 28, no loss on defense this week, and we'll see how we do. It is water season, so I will be using Chrome on offense. It's going to be miserable. Unfortunately for us, we are summoning for Plumeria on this upcoming Monday, so we're really not going to benefit at all from getting Plumerias if we do actually get a good amount of copies of her. So we're gonna try and stay in Vault this week, but I'm kind of pretty sure that's not happening. Wait, yeah, that's just straight up not happening because we're not gonna be running a bonus unit. Yeah, so never mind. We're just gonna have to wait for an optimal Astra season for us to get away with finally being back in Vault during light season, which is my favorite season to goof around on, because we just do not have the tools in Astra season, although once we do get hopefully a good amount of merges on Plumeria, then we can start thinking about goofballing in Astra season, but I honestly don't know which season is worse. I think I'm just more used to light season shenanigans because I've been basically using the same offense team for quite a while now, whereas Astra season I kind of fumble around with different shenanigans. But yeah, 986k feathers, probably have to burn another 20k pretty soon. Tempest Trials, we are just blitzing it out because, again, like I mentioned in that update video, I am going to be busy, so yeah, we're just blitzing out score here. Going to 245k today, just doing 35,000 points a day. Pretty straightforward strategy. But that's going to be it for this episode. Thanks for watching. As always, this is Ether Dragon, and hope to see you all next time. Bye!